Carburando la sede central del Automóvil Club Argentino, donde está Todt, el presidente de la Federación Internacional del Automóvil. El dirigente máximo a nivel internacional del automóvil está aquí en la Argentina, donde va a participar de una conferencia y también de la inauguración de una escuela de manejo avanzado, que esto será en el Autódromo Oscar y Juan Gálvez de la ciudad de Buenos Aires. También estuvo en el vecino país de Uruguay, donde allí participó de un congreso, pero Todt no solo habla de seguridad vial, sino que también habla de todos los problemas que atañen al automovilismo deportivo internacional y sobre todo a la Fórmula 1.
Hybrid at the moment is probably the actual, more sensible future. Then electric car, we have other technologies arriving like hydrogen. So, it's but that's also the fascinating thing, because motoring is quite new. We are in 2018, and in fact, cars. Mobility, like 4 wheels, 2 wheels, started just over 100 years ago. You see, all the oldest automobile club, like Automobile Club of Argentina, is about 100 years old. How old are you? Automobile Club of Argentina.
Automobile Club? 114 years.
114.
14.
So, 1904.
1904, yes.
Okay. So, you see, that's
1 week before FIA. Yes. First ACA, first Automobile Club Argentina, and after FIA.
So you see, that's where we are. So, it's fascinating to see how things have been moving. And in a way, that's why we have so much traffic and congestions. Because you take big cities like Buenos Aires, Paris, and all that, those cities were built to have horses, with car horses, with a few cars, a few motorbike, a few bicycle, and the cities have remained the same. But the problem, the transportation, has completely changed. So that's another fascinating challenge we have in front of us, to make sure that we are able to modify the layout of the cities to be able to host the vehicles which are needed now. Road safety as one of our priorities. And situation is not good around the world. Every year, 1.3 million people die on the roads, 50 million people are injured. It's the #1 cause of mortality. Your country, you have about 6,000 people who die on the roads every year. And you have about 100,000 people who are injured because of road crashes. And the laboratory on new energy and also on safety. It's not only a show. So it's a show and a laboratory. And clearly, we are happy with the evolutions of the powertrain, and we are now working on the next steps behind 2020, and as you know, it will be a renewal of the Concord Agreement, which is a three-party agreement between the Formula 1 commercial rights, between the teams and the FIA. One of the biggest problems which is arriving now is also pollution. So mobility and roads traffic is creating a lot of pollution. To come back on motor racing, we have also created a new category of motor racing, which is Fórmula E, and incidentally for several years, Buenos Aires has hosted a race in the city, like Hong Kong, Paris, Zurich, Rome, and New York. It's fascinating. You know, we started the championship 4 years ago. And at the time, we knew that we had no options. If we wanted to make a 45-minute race, we needed to change halfway through the race. 4 years after, we are able to introduce cars which will be more performing, more competitive, without changing the car. So that's why I was mentioning that motor racing is not only a show, but is also a laboratory, and that's a good example. You know, the problem of electric car is the autonomy and the recharging time. And you know, incidentally, that's why we have been deciding Formula E happening in cities, because we want to encourage the introduction of electric car in cities. We are talking about rallycross with electric car, but at the moment what we want to, as a next step in World Rally Championship and in any category of motorsport is hybrid. I mean, they are very strong, you know. I mean, at the moment, I mean, they are probably among the two best teams, and some people say they are the best at the moment. So, anyway, they are very strong contender, and so it means that you cannot, you know, Formula One is so competitive. So, if you are at the top, it means you must have all which is perfect, and they do a very good job. At the moment, you have about 50% of the global population living in cities. And by 2050, you will have 80% of the population living in cities. So can you figure out the problems we have now and the problem we will have in 30 years?